Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Divine Eye Racing Series Division 1 Season 2 here, Round 5 at the Jeddah circuit. Today, the drivers will be getting ready to storm the streets of Jeddah, which is technically not a street circuit. Quick little fact, the street circuit Jeddah is not a street circuit, where today there will be a short qualifying session of 18 minutes followed by a 50% race, where I should probably enable all of my qualifying tools and no drivers yet out in the garage. Everyone's still setting everything up. Longest track, as in most corners on a track. Now we see the first Red Bull getting out of the garage. That's a Haas. I misjudged the colors. Red Bull will not be this far down in the garage. We're going to see a lot of turn 1 lunges and a lot of late moves. Here we have Scottish, first driver out on track. Currently making some moves in the championship standings. He went up 4 places up to 3rd place with that 2nd position finish last week out in Hungary. Very good performance. Also great performance from Tutschke, finishing in 4th, equaling his season best from Monza, jumping up 2 positions as well. Currently, these two drivers 4 points apart, still leading at the top with 106 points. Tronzik, only podium finishes in this season, but no win yet. Those wins have gone to Arkid, who DNF'd in the last race out in Hungary. Still 2nd place, but now equal points with Scottish. Scottish, obviously 3rd, because he did not get any wins. Arkid got 2 of them, which means that he's got more higher positions finishes, so he'll be ahead in the standings, even on equal points. But on the side of the constructors, we see Williams overtaking Haas for 1st place, being only 6 points ahead. Haas dropping down to 2nd place, only 1 singular point ahead of Mercedes, who can make a real dent into this as well and get 1st place if they show up today. We got Remix back on track, not available last week, but back to driving again together with Paddy as Scottish starts his 1st flying lap, his 1st timed lap into turn 1 on the mediums. Weirdly enough, maybe looking to get some knowledge, some more information on how the tires behave on the track. Turn 1 went very smoothly so far. We'll see on the top right of your screen the sector times once they cross, and also the difference between their previous timed lap. So we'll be able to see, at least with Scottish, how much faster the soft tires will be once he gets those on the car. For now, no timed lap set. Scottish, the first one to set a lap. Looking at the other drivers, Tronzik is doing the exact same thing, running out on the mediums, a little bit further behind. Just started off his lap, small gap out in front, so that's going to be very difficult to navigate, as I believe that Aston Martin ahead is also on a fast lap. Both Aston Martins are, so he's going to have to navigate that a little bit. Remember, if you are behind another driver in qualifying and they impede you, that is 100% on you. If both drivers are on a fast lap, it's your choice, your responsibility to find a gap. So if Tronzik does end up getting impeded, he doesn't end up getting to report that, as Scottish puts in a 1 minute 28.2 fastest lap so far. Tronzik coming through later on as well. We can see him maybe passing the Aston there. Doesn't have enough pace. I think that might be Spongy leaving the room there for Tronzik to send it on through. So Tronzik, the other car on the mediums. This is going to be a fair comparison between Scottish and Tronzik. Also 2 drivers that are very high up on the championship, looking to get some damage done in the points. Tronzik over 20 points ahead currently of P2 in the standings, and Tronzik puts in a 1 minute 27.0 for an amazing lap. 1.2 seconds quicker than Scottish on the mediums. Spongy a 27.5 and Yuri a 26.7, getting the provisional pole by 3/10. Tutschke putting in a 27.2. just slightly behind Tronzik, but ahead of Spongy in the Aston Martin. And it was indeed Mookie who left the space for and Tronzik and his teammate, putting in a 37.9, definitely not a representative time. The Alfa Romeos both putting in 30s and 31s, 4/10 apart, not very great on their end. We'll have to wait and see where Tronzik and Scottish will put the car once they actually get into the soft tire runnings. Abrashid rounding the final corner as well, currently 12th in the standings. Dropping down big turns in 3rd place. Abrashid in 5th. So the Red Bull's doing pretty well so far as Arkit puts it up into 2nd place. A very good showing here, just half a tenth behind Yuri. And this one's going to be a battle for sure towards the end of the qualifying session. These two drivers, Tronzik added to that, but maybe Tronzik will just smash it completely, decimating the competition with what the gaps are looking like. But Arkit and Yuri both have another try as well. There's enough time there. 12 minutes remaining, 6 minutes gone, which means we have a third of the qualifying done and 2/3 still available. So lots of space for drivers to still make a lap. It's Paddy, 27.8, might be on another lap right now. We'll go see in his delta on the top right. You can see the tire that they're currently on, the sector that they're in, and the current lap time. Once they hit a sector mark on the minimap, those are located by the white stripes on the track, there will be a delta comparing the time to what the lap time that was set before. Currently Paddy going over the line, and he is 1.7 seconds slower, which means that this is definitely not a timed lap. Looking at Sparrow, +3 as well. Mini turns in the Williams, crossing the line, improving by 2/10, but not jumping up any places. This Arkid currently +12. Abrashid also very slowly might look to set up for a lap now, as there's an Alfa Romeo that it looks to be Sparrow who's actually going through. I don't believe Sparrow was doing any fast lap there, and might be just going to the pit. So overtook the Red Bull, and now everyone's going slowly here, going into the pit. So none of these drivers are on a fast lap, and we have Jan, one of the only drivers still one of the few drivers still needing to set a lap out on the track, but Mihu as well. For Mihu, no lap time set just yet on the softs out on the track. So there's no delta yet, but we can see his final lap once he does cross that line. Mihu and Muriels, the McLaren drivers last season, also with McLaren, so 2 seasons in a row now. Last season they had an impeccable performance fighting with Ferrari for the Constructors' Championship. Currently not really in the mix. There we go, Mihu with a 28.5 in 13th place. Now we can only hope for Muriels to do something a little bit faster than that. Jan back into the pits without setting a lap time here. Now we have mini turns on a push lap, on an attack lap. We're going to see Scottish out as well on new softs. Tronzik the exact same. The drivers that set their lap times on the mediums currently out on the softs. We're going to see which one of the two will be setting the lap time first. Scottish might have binned it a little bit with that lap they did before. Mini turns 3/10 slower than his lap time before. Doesn't show too much promise just yet. Remember, this is an equal performance league, so the fact that there's a Williams in 14th and a Williams in 3rd does not mean that Tronzik is extremely quick. He is, but putting a Haas of number 1 and a Williams of number 3 from Yuri and Tronzik, as many times looks like he's got impeded and actually slowed down on his lap there. Meaning he won't be able to do what he wanted to do, as Divine Eye starts off his second lap as well. Currently 7/10 down, so probably a mistake there in the first sector, as Tronzik looks to set a fast lap as well on this new tire. Here is our first taste of what the difference in tire compound means. 27-0 for Tronzik. Only 3/10 behind Yuri currently. Needs 3/10, but I believe that this tire can be over half a second, 6/10 maybe even 7. If you're really, really lucky. And 2 of those 10ths have been gained in Sector 1 by Tronzik. This would mean that he needs half a 10th more for that pole position. Yuri still in the pits, not out on something yet. Arkid going out for a lap. And maybe trying to sneak away that position as well from Yuri while he's sitting there in the pits. 7.5 minutes remaining. If they're going to do it, they're going to have to do it now. There's enough time to go out, but once you go out now, you can still set a second lap. Mariel's retiring from the session, not participating, and going to start last as Robinho and Jan both out on an out lap, and Remix on a timed lap already. Gonna hop on with him after we finish our laps with Tronzik and Scottish. Forgot to check the delta after Sector 2, but now rounding up Sector 3. Very careful with that track limit there. It's very, very nasty. Tronzik putting in a 126.6. A full 4/10 quicker. 4/10 compared to his previous lap time. And 1/10, half a 10th quicker than Yuri. Putting it on pole position. Scottish going around the corner as well. Final one, final stretch, final straight. Very careful there with the track limits, almost dancing over it. As Scottish puts it in first at the 26.5. A great lap there. A full 10th away from Tronzik. Great, great lap. Hopping on with Remix. 1 minute 1.1 after the second sector. Promising lap so far. But there's still one corner remaining. And we all know what happened last year in the real F1 season with Max Verstappen in the final corner. Hitting that barrier. Remix playing it safe. Going across the line in just a moment. Doesn't look like he's put up any competitive lap. 28.3. Right behind his teammate. And puts it in 12th position. Very, very scary stuff there. Looks like he's gonna have to go again. See what he can do. Shermanator's put it up into 10th position. Gonna see some of the AlphaTauris going in now. That looks to be Robinho, as Robinho puts it on pole position, only half a 10th quicker than Scottish, but he is in first. That's a beautiful, beautiful lap there. Great stuff from the AlphaTauri driver as Jan goes back into the pits once again. Not setting a lap just yet. So this is the second time he's gone out and then back in again. Robinho, beautiful stuff. Very, very good. Abersheet out 2/10 off, has some time to gain it up again. But it looks like he's going a bit slow through this sector, meaning that this will not be a time lap. Spongy going over the line now. Not improving. He is improving by just a 10th, but not in position. Still in 9th place. Remix coming through here. Paddy on an out lap. At the start, there's an Alpine coming, and there's Scottish behind, both going into the pits. Paddy is on his way to improve on his lap. One of the Alfa Romeos jumping out of the pits. Going to take a quick look at the delta on the top right as soon as Paddy goes through these sectors. All drivers currently setting times on the soft tire. All lap times have been set on the softs as well. Robinho at the front. Arkid still not out. 5th place still. Yuri in 4th. Also still in the pits. 4 minutes remaining. Just over 4th as Paddy puts in a 3/4 advantage here. That will put him into the top 10 for the start of the race. Remember, it's a feature race and not a sprint weekend. Sprint weekends will be back next week. So this is going to be a single qualifying session followed by a feature race. So there's no chance of redemption for the starting grid. It's either you put it on a position, and that's very close there with the Red Bull of big turns. Almost a collision happening on that fast lap. Hopefully Paddy did not get scared by that. Putting in the throttle down all the way through. Knows that if he gets impeded, it's not going to be his problem. It's going to be that of the Red Bull. Rounding the final stretch on the track. 26-27 improves by 4, almost 5/10. Puts it up into P9. Entering the top 10. Great job there from Paddy. A real banger. Jaspar's now 2/10 quicker than his previous lap. All the way down in 18th. Needs a full second, more than a second, to be able to jump any positions ahead. There's going to be a task in the third sector. Might be where he made an issue. Where he made a mistake. Or had an issue. Should not be mixing things up. Going around cleanly this time. And it doesn't look like he's gonna make any progress. And wiggles it through. Doesn't get much of an improvement in position. Although he did improve 7/10 on his lap. He still stays in 18th place. Jan still in the pit. Some drivers now behind coming through. That looks to be a Williams. That is Tronzik. That is not Tronzik. I thought that was a Williams. I might just be blind. Tronzik is currently in the pits. That's not true. That might have been Tronzik. That actually was Tronzik. I just still held the shift button and I went to remix. That was my mistake. We've got big turns down on the lap, but it's invalidated, so he's going to have to go again. Mini turns. 1.2 seconds faster. That does not seem right. That's not on this lap. That was probably his previous lap compared to the one before. Currently on a fast lap. Big turn starting again. Then we have Sparrow rounding the final corner, but on a very slow lap. Not able to do anything there. Touchkey through the final sector on an out lap. Divine Eye starting his now. And we see another Red Bull of Abrashid now in the final corner. Wanting to make the start of his lap. Touchkey the exact same thing. Following each other very closely here. As Abrashid is driving unnecessarily slow here. Not necessarily impeding, but Mookie is also coming through. And the gaps between the drivers are now very small. Sparrow retiring from the session, thinking this lap is the best he can do. Jan still on an out lap. He is through the final corner. Abrashid going very tight there and invalidating his lap. So he probably will need to let Touchkey through if he doesn't get any pace going. Jan on his out lap. Has not set a timed lap yet. Needs it now. And we know he can do it. Almost over that line there. Grazing it just ever so slightly. If ever there was a time to make a good lap happen, to hook up something really good, it would be now. He would actually need it, because this is going to be his final chance of getting something. There's a session only lasts 22 more seconds. He almost goes over the curb, getting his lap perfectly validated. That is playing it a little bit safe there, and he goes off. And that is Jan's lap compromised entirely. Paddy going into the pits. Not finishing his lap. Touchkey currently 2/10 quicker. Would make an improvement on his lap. That would be P6. If he can keep this up. Ahead of him we have Abrashid, who invalidated this lap, still there. There we go. Touchkey almost touching that final barrier on the end there. Let's see what he can make of this lap. That's going to be a big improvement. It is 2.5 tenths up to P6. Great stuff there from the Ferrari driver. Now we have Scottish rounding the final corner as well. Slower on his lap so far, so that does not look like he's going to be on pole position, but there's still the final corner in the final straight. Maybe there's something he can do still. Whoa, that was very close. Not improving on his lap time. Yuri coming through as well. Was improving up into sector 2. Goes over the line. He improves by 2.5 tenths, which would be P2. But he invalidated. That would be pole position, actually. That would have been pole position, but he invalidates on the final stretch. Tronzik not making it through either. Our kid now getting that slipstream from his teammate to put him on pole position at 26.4. And even Yuri would not have been able to defeat that. A very good lap from our kid. Getting that toe down on the final straight. A beautiful tactic done by his teammate. Shermanator getting that in. Divine Eye not improving and going back into the pits. Remix the same thing. And your pole sitter for tonight is our kid. With a 1 minute 26.4. A really close battle up at the top. 5 cars within 3 tenths of each other. A very good battle here for pole position. But points are not given in qualifying. Points are given in the race. As I always say, there's still a 50% race ahead of us. Meaning that this is your starting grid for the Jeddah GP. Mario starting last, not setting a lap time. Jan getting a lap time in, but only a 32.4 is that lap time with that shootout he had in the first sector where he went off the track. It did actually not invalidate his lap. Even though he went off the track, he did not gain any time from it. And it's not in a place where he would be able to gain time, meaning that that lap was still valid. Arkid in the Alpine way up front. Shermanator's teammate down in 12th, but a great assist and definitely gets credit for that pole position. Robinho in second place with a great lap as well, just within a 10th. Scottish getting very close as well. Tronzik in 4th. Wonder what he can do in the race. Then Yuri with that missed pole position there. Would have been P2. A front row start for the Haas driver, but still a very good performance. 3rd and 5th for the Haas. Dutchke in 6th. Then the both Red Bulls 7th and 8th. Paddy in 9th. And then Spongy in 10th. Finishing up the top 10. All within a second, which shows how close the grid is so far. And remember, these are all drivers that have been driving together for a while. And most of them at least. And they've been fighting closer and closer together throughout the season, as I've noticed. Everyone just gets faster. They get better. They improve, and the margins, they shrink. Unfortunate for the drivers, but fortunately for us, as we're going to be able to watch a lot more entertaining content. Not just for qualifying, not just for setting the fastest laps, but also for the race. Especially here on lap 1. The track is so tight with a lot of fast turns, a lot of slow turns as well. Slow turns. Turn 1 and 2, the slowest corners on the track. I'm going to be right here at the start of the first lap. So we might be able to see a cheeky dive from Yuri, who does not want to accept the fact that his lap got invalidated on that final stretch there onto the start-finish straight. Might want to take in the faith in his own hands. Say, screw you, stewards. I am still going to take the top 3. Drivers currently adjusting their strategies as they're still allowed to, and also the small bits of their setup as far as they're allowed. But mostly strategy. And we can see the hands clapping again on the top with different intervals, which always makes me happy. Might be able to see some really interesting strategies here, as we saw the Williams of Tronzik and the Haas of Scottish going out on a medium set in the qualifying for their first lap. So that means, or that can mean, a few things. 1, they have not tested the medium tire yet, and they just wanted to know how fast it was. 2, they did a banker lap. They just wanted to set a lap just in case, but not waste a soft set for the race, which could also indicate some of their strategy things in for the race. And lastly, they just didn't test the medium at all, and they don't know the tire wear, and they had to do some testing. Just got confirmation from Yuri that his lap time invalidation was because of a lag spike. So on his screen, he was getting close to that line there on the left-hand side, getting real close to cutting it. And it's the shortest line to the finish, to the timing line, to ending your lap. To go very close to that track limit. And a lot of drivers take that line as close as possible. But if you've got a lag spike, it's very difficult to control where the car is going. You might be looking to like maybe go just around it with your steering inputs, and then make a small mistake and end up crossing it, which invalidated Yuri's lap. A cloudy track here at the Jeddah circuit. Arkid way at the top. Robinho, a very beautiful second place to get the front row. We'll be starting on the outside for turn 1. But might be cooking. Might be making a comeback. might take away that first place from Arkid. Arkid, the driver who has already won 2 races and crashed out in one as well, might want to make redemption today and get closer to that first place of Tronzik, who's currently ahead by more than 20 points. Here we have the AWS possible strategy. Soft to mediums or mediums to hard, and I do not believe it for a second. Let's see what the drivers think. All mediums and softs. The back more inclined to softs, and the front's more inclined to mediums. Scottish on the softs, Tushki on the softs as well. Might be looking to make some early moves in this race. So both of these strategies, starting on the softs and starting on the mediums, they're looking like the same type. A single stop. Softs might be going to the hards, and the mediums they can pick and choose halfway through the race. But if at one point they feel like the softs aren't going to make it to the end of the race, they'll have to stick with the hards and get the disadvantage on the pace. But the soft runners only get to choose between mediums or hards. So mediums if their wear is very, very low, but they'll get the hards if there's anything wrong with the softs. And an early safety car can really give them an advantage, because the medium runners want to take those tires as long as possible, so the soft runners can get an advantage early on. And if there's an early safety car, which I will predict right now, there might be some chaos with pits. As it's Jeddah, we're obviously going to expect that safety car more than once, not just here for lap 1 or lap 2. It might be going on further on as well. Might even happen right after one another with a good restart. Some drivers locking up here into turn 1, getting onto the grid. Not even turn 1 yet, but you might see some lockups there into turn 1 in just a moment as well. Drivers getting ready to go onto the grid. Currently last place, Rios not setting a lap time, slotting in on the final slot on the left-hand side. As we see, Robinho second place on the inside there. Might look to make a lunge, but remember, the right-hand corner is turn 2. So that means Arkid will be back on the inside again. Looking for a good start of the race here at the front. Arkid, pole position. Robinho, second place. Scottish, perfect front row seat to whatever's going on. And they're away. Racing at Jeddah. Arkid getting a good start. Robinho looking a bit squirrely. Scottish very awake on the right hand side. Looking to put it up the outside there. Gets a little bit of contact. Robinho still staying on the track, but Scottish getting that second place over Robinho. Robinho still looking to fight back, but there's Yuri ready to attack as well. After getting past Tronzik, dropping down to 5th position. Touching is still solid in 5th place. Scottish very good attack there on the first little try there. And then we see Shermanator off the track as well on the first lap, as expected. And there's the front wing that took off from his car, almost completely off. Arkid still hanging on to that lead, not letting Robinho make a move, and Robinho getting attacked instantly with a bad start. Scottish able to just jump through. Yuri now following in 4th place, wants to take that position as well, double team it with his teammate after getting past Tronzik. And there's Robinho who goes off the track, cuts it a tiny bit, must be a warning at this point. Also a very bad exit. Yuri be able to get that position very, very quickly. Smokey drops down a position as well. Some more shuffling down in the order. We'll see that in just a moment as one of the Red Bulls appears to be going very wide. And that's Dutchkey off as well. So all of these drivers are still having some trouble with the grip on the track so far. Arkid pulling half a second away. Robinho very close. Yuri as well on the inside into the final corner. Does send it. And is passed completely, parking it right after the apex and getting the position done. Has the slipstream from his teammate, but Robinho is looking to make that position back already. Side by side, 3 wide, onto the start-finish straight. Tronzik only a bystander. Scottish dropping back both positions, looking on the inside, and now back on the outside. Has the soft, so a bit more grip, but drops back a lot. And there's Tronzik ready to pick up the scraps, but not able to do anything. Yuri switching position with Scottish. Robinho still in 3rd place. Meanwhile, at the front, Arkid's pulling away, almost a second completely off of Yuri after these drivers have been battling for a moment. But Tronzik now getting attacked from behind as well. Needs to look behind him. There's a Red Bull appears to be off. That's Abershi dropping down to 9th position, now 10th after a bad exit there. That's what happens when you go off track. Tushki going very deep on the brakes. Has these softs. So is able to get a lot deeper with the braking and taking a lot more speed through the corner as well. Abrashid now battling with Remix side by side through this second sector. And Abrashid still hanging on to 10th position as Remix looking to make an attack happen. Scottish real close now to Robinho again. Trying to get that position back. But Tronzik is in there too. So if anything happens, he'll be ready to pick up the scrap. Scottish. DRS not available yet. We'll have to do with just a slipstream. Has the softs. Will run around the outside to go for a move. Robinho defending on the inside. A little bit of contact there. Robinho going deep, but maybe the switchback will happen from Scottish. Has the acceleration side by side now onto turn 1. Will he be passed before this happens? And he will be. Scottish now in 3rd place, but there is Tronzik looking to make something happen as well on the inside of both drivers. And Scottish still hanging on. Tronzik getting the worst part of it. Robinho almost looking to take anything back, but Tronzik actually getting a way better exit than Scottish and sending it ahead onto P3, giving Yuri a great gap behind to just attack. Scottish now looks to be a bit squirrely with that dirty air that he's got going on in front of him from the Williams. Now Robinho looking into the mirrors of Scottish, trying to get that 4th position back as well. Tutschke looks to be on the attack as well with the soft tires, of course. Remember that. These drivers are on the softs. Tutschke and Scottish at the front on the softs. Remix needs to get past Spongy as well for the same idea as Tutschke needs to get past, and he breaks his front wing. He's off. He has to wait and rejoin without his front wing after some contact appears to be. Stewards might be able to look at that a little bit further, but he's out of the battle still within a second. Everyone, Tronzik down to Spongy. All within a second. So there's still not a lot of gap created. Robinho almost falling out, but there's a virtual safety car called. And the drivers will have to slow down. Might be good for the soft runners like Scottish to pit now for the hards. But we don't know exactly how long those hards will last. As DRS is enabled now at the start of lap 4 actually. And there goes Robinho into the pits. And it appears that he has a little bit of damage on his wing. Couldn't see that properly so far. Scottish following Tronzik into turn 1. And the gaps are increasing ever so slightly. So my voice can quickly take a break and cast a little bit slower this time around. Robinho retiring from the session. Might have had a bit more than just the wing damage on his hands. Scottish now chasing that podium position once again. Remember, only lap 4. But these things can determine a lot right now. Scottish is on the soft. Should have a little bit of a pace advantage with those soft tires compared to the mediums. But behind another car, there's a lot of dirty air. That dirty air can really mess with the tires. These softs can really get a beating from sticking behind a driver for so long. They perform much better in the clean air. So there's no worry about any aero wash from the car ahead. So he goes really deep into that corner, and that must be a track limit violation. But he does keep the throttle down because he does not want to lose the position to the cars behind. Big turns coming up as well as Paddy. Scottish getting really close. The DRS is enabled. Tronzik won't be able to use it, but Scottish will. Looking to open it right now. There goes the flap open onto the straight with the slipstream combined. Should give him enough overspeed to be able to attack into turn 1, but the Williams of Tronzik just too fast to do anything at all. As Spongy does get ahead of Abrashid in the Red Bull. Small tap there as it looked like. The hurry up from the Red Bull saying, if you're going to pass me, then please run away because I still need that pace. Remix now battling with mini turns, getting ahead as well. And Divine Eye dropping back into the pits. So it looks like they're ready for a tire change. Not a wing change, just the tires. Going onto the hards from the mediums. That's a very interesting tactic there. So new hards for Divine Eye as Tutschke, his teammate, gets passed into turn 1 and has the new mediums. So this is very interesting. Divine Eye may be looking to make it to the end of the race on this set. Would be a really, really big move. Big turns. Already advanced a lot in this race. 2 positions. Here we can see the gains and the losses. A lot of gains. A lot of big losses, especially. Touchkey going down 10 after that incident. Having to pit for a new front wing. Robinho minus 18, starting second. Dropping down to 20th. Arkid still in first. Yuri up 3. Paddy up 3. Spongy up 3 as well. But further down, Jan up 8. Starting in 19th. Currently 11th place. And now here's the looker. Tronzik going defensive. Scottish out of the arrow onto the right hand side. Getting the overtake done before reaching turn 1. Same goes for mini turns. Getting past Remix once again. Up to turn above position 9. Remix is on the soft tire, so might get a good exit here to counter the attack. And maybe get the position back. Not yet, just yet. Might have to wait a little bit more for the next DRS zone. Stick behind for now. The top 3 almost clear. As Tronzik looks to make an overtake happen, does so in the hairpin. Scottish not able to back out just yet. Will look for the switchback, but does not have the grip to do so. Will stick behind. Beautiful overtake there from Tronzik. And there's the first penalty for track limits. It's been handed to Touchkey, who's currently in 16th place. As Divine Eye is all the way back here, as there's a lot of shuffling going on here on the back straight. Good 3-way battle between Shermanator, Divine Eye, and Mookie. Mookie ending up in 19th place, last so far of the drivers still driving. Still really close to Divine Eye, who's following Shermanator. Small gap forming there as Scottish goes around the outside of Tronzik. Ready to make something happen. Big turns ready to jump in on the action. But there's Paddy right behind as well. Scottish will not have the DRS now and will look to defend already on the inside. And there's Tronzik zooming past. Already ahead before turn 1. Abersheet. Oh, big turns through as well as Abersheet gets overtaken. Scottish down to 5th place. Paddy looking to attack as well. Very, very unstable from Scottish there on the exit. And because of that, he can't attack back instantly. And Tronzik claims 3rd position. This battle still going strong. All of these drivers 3 seconds behind Yuri, who is 2 seconds behind Arkid. It's a very stable lead at the front, but there's Scottish going wide as well. Paddy may be looking for something, but a bit too far away to make a move happen. Sparrow now following Mihu, is currently placed in a McLaren sandwich. Might want to get out of this one because you never know what team orders can be called within the next few laps. Remix, the final place in the top 10. Might want to look for a little bit more than that. Approaching the 2nd DRS zone. Getting real close to mini turns in the Williams. This might be a very dangerous place to overtake. Has the DRS and does make the overtake happen. Is ahead. Mini turns almost hanging on, but not enough. As we see big turns almost getting past Tronzik. But he will have something here. And that is DRS. Tronzik will not. The big turns now opening up that flap. Does have the overspeed of the slipstream, but look further behind. We see Paddy getting past Scottish. Scottish just dropping back positions. Abersheet getting ahead of Spongy again. Remix lost the position to mini turns again, but now has it back from the start-finish straight. And Tronzik falling back further and further now behind Yuri. Yuri also falling further behind Arkid, which has had a flawless race so far. Currently is approaching Mookie as the first back marker is approaching. Might get some cheeky DRS off of it. But hopefully we'll just be able to drive cleanly through everything that's going on right now. Sparrow also in the pits. He's currently exiting on new mediums. Mookie just went on to new hards, and Jasper's also to the mediums. So unsure what these drivers are thinking in terms of strategy. What tires will make it to the end. But if I have to believe some drivers, they'll have to think there are 17 laps available on that medium tire, which might be true now that I mention it. But if you do 8 laps on the softs and then 17 on the mediums, that is a big, big stretch. No safety car just yet, just a virtual safety car. And hopefully it'll stay that way so we can get some good clean racing on our hands. Big turns now within half a second of Tronzik. Has to open that flap to get any sort of value here on the straight. That Williams of Tronzik is a rocket ship. Absolute warrior on the straight. And there's nothing happening here between these drivers. A slight catch up from Big Turns. Spongy now through Abrashid, who's going into the pits to see what tire he's going to go on. This looks like a soft tire. There's a wing change ready as well. So Abrashid going onto the softs, which is a very interesting strategy here. From the Red Bull driver. Not the most conventional tire change midway through the race. But might have some impact as we see Paddy going wide. Scottish dropping back as well. But Scottish does gain that 3-second time penalty. Second one to pick that up today. Small sip of water. To stay hydrated. Remix. Falling through on mini turns. Did get the position from overtaking Abrashid in the pits. So net position probably still 10th. Getting really close to the rear. And you can see is the rear stepping out as well. That is from the lack of aero that you get from sticking it behind another driver. There he is. Looking for clean air. Cooling the engine as well. Remember, this is Jeddah. The car does get quite hot. Big Turns might have the same issue now. Being behind Tronzik for 3 laps straight now. Going into lap 10. He does have the rear wing open. Might look to step out of the slipstream any moment now. There he is looking on the inside. Making himself big. A Scottish gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane as he enters to get a tire change. He won't be able to serve it directly. So he'll need to sit that one out at the end of the race. Get a bit of time added. He's going on to the mediums. And maybe he is serving the time penalty already. No, he is not. That might just have been a little bit of a glitch there. As Mini Turns tries to get the position back from Remix. As Remix did indeed get the overtake done. Up into 7th place. And Scottish will have to serve that 5-second time penalty at the end of the race. So he did end up getting something. Medium tire. It might be the strategy. We've seen other drivers go for it as well. I thought it wasn't going to be any good. But only 15 laps remaining on these tires. 16 with this lap included. It might be the call. It might be the right play. Currently 3 drivers left in the battle for third. Very, very squirrely there from Paddy, who lost a bit of control. Has the double slipstream. And that also means the double aero wash, which means that the aerodynamics don't work as efficiently as possible. And there's go Big Turns onto the inside. Into the final corner. Tronzik hanging out around the outside. Does get the better exit. And it looks like Tronzik's hanging on by a thread. Who will get the DRS? Neither. Neither has DRS. That is so weird to see. Why does no one have DRS? It's only Paddy who does send it up in the inside of Big Turns. Will make the switch back look like something, but doesn't end up getting it done. Has a good exit. And there's the safety car. I don't know who was ahead. Was it Tronzik or Paddy? It looks like it was Tronzik who was ahead, but Paddy advocating for something and does get ahead of Tronzik. And there's the tire. And that appears to be Mookie with DNF. So Paddy might just be slightly ahead on the call of the safety car. And gets that 3rd position. So there we have it, folks. The first safety car of the evening in lap 11 of the 25 lap race. So Paddy getting that slipstream and the DRS. Tronzik and Big Turns both not getting that DRS. Having to stick it around with a closed rear wing. A very weird sight to see. You'd think one of them would get the DRS. We might have to ask them both what happened there. But Paddy ultimately profiting from it. Getting a good overtake done on one of them on the straight. That was Big Turns. He got the Red Bull driver on the straight. And then into turn 1. Sending it on the inside. Doesn't get anything done there from Tronzik. But in the end, getting good traction. Put him alongside and only slightly ahead when the safety car was called. I believe Tronzik did in the end pull away forward just that tiny bit and got the position as he was on the inside. But the safety car had already been called. And that means that Paddy is currently in third position going into the pits. Stronzik diving in as well as big turns. Arcade as well into the pits. Getting a clean set of hards onto the car. Released now. Yuri from mediums to softs. Will he get the position on exit? It looks like he's still ahead. And he is not. He will be right behind Arcade. And the gap is so close. Almost could have tasted it. Yuri could have stretched out his hand and touched the rear wing of Arcade ever so slightly, exiting that pit lane. That was very close. Slow stop from Arcade might have been Yuri's to pick up, but luckily for Arcade, he is still in first place. So now, as the safety car is called, the grid will bunch up a little bit more, and I will be taking a small break, and I'll advise you to do the exact same. Grab some water and grab some snacks. We'll be right back with some more action. As we are approaching the entry of the safety car, which should be in this lap, we're going to take a quick look at the current standings. We see Jan gaining 10 positions up to 9th place. Scottish losing 7. Remix up 6. Mini Turns up 7 as well. Dutchkey down 7 in 13th. Marios in 6 positions up from last place to 14th. Stops. Everyone has stopped. And the tires look as follows. Yuri attacking with the softs. Everyone else in the top 6 on the hards. Remix on mediums. Mini Turns and Jan both on hards. So further down, Sparrow on the softs as well. Looking for the gamble. But Yuri in a real advantage here. Might have a good strategy on his hands. Currently in 2nd place with those soft tires. Safety car should be in this lap. And Yuri having the tires on the temperature. Of course, the hards, the tires that last longer but have a lot less grip compared to the softs, which have insane grip levels. But they wear really quickly. The hards, really difficult to get up to temperatures. The soft, getting into temperatures really, really easily. A lot more grip, a lot less sliding, but a lot more pressure onto the tires. A lot more grip asked from the tires, which means that they heat up a bit more. So if Yuri is able to get his tires into the window, this should look like an insane restart. But Arkid is the one that decides the pace, wiggling around. Yuri getting side by side as Jan gets a 5-second time penalty for a severe collision. And there he goes, Arkid putting down the throttle. I was almost going to say the Dutch word for it, but that's not what I'm supposed to say. Yuri, following very closely, is able to take advantage of this restart. It looked like Arkid got a very good start, but Yuri has the softs. Very weird decision from Arkid to drop it before the final turn. Going defensive, Yuri taking the optimal line around the outside, taking it into turn 1, and has got first position back. Paddy also getting past Tronzik. Tronzik fighting back now, getting third position back. Still in third. Tronzik on the podium so far. Paddy going to fight back. Yuri and Arkid both pulling away from the competition, already a second up. But look at this gap. Arkid is dropping back behind Yuri. The DRS has not been enabled after the safety car. So Yuri just has all the free space to gain and to just drive away. And currently does so. Already a second gap cleared. And now it's the time for him to push. Full qualification mode. Setting in the fast laps he can. Anything is possible now. Yuri will have to push for an advantage because the softs will drop off towards the end of the stint. Trust me, you don't go 13 laps on the softs on this track. They will die very quickly. He's just gonna have to be pushing like crazy, like Arkid is doing now as well. Look at him. He's within a second now. He's got to keep it there until the DRS gets enabled again, which is going to be 3 laps after the safety car goes in. So this is lap number 1. So the next lap will not be DRS, and the next lap after that should have DRS enabled. And if Arkid's lucky, it will be this lap, but I don't think it will be. Yuri touching the wall ever so slightly. Arkid will have DRS as well as Paddy. We're going to look at that as well. I just said it wasn't going to be enabled, and then I said we should have DRS. He does have the slipstream though, as Yuri puts in the fastest lap of the race. Paddy getting the slipstream as well. Nothing happening. Further behind though, we see Remix. There's Scottish around the outside of mini turns. He has the position for now. It does stick it in front. He keeps that. Arkid still within the second. So focused on this battle up front that I'm forgetting what's happening behind. Big turns at Paddy. Following Tronzik as well, who's currently 2 seconds behind Arkid. Arkid now just outside of second, but remember, he was very bad in sector 1 on the previous lap as well. But on the sector 2 and 3, he was gaining. So he might be able to do the same here, although this is the sector that heavily relies on those softs. And there we have the gap. No DRS for Arkid on the next few laps, at least if Yuri keeps this up. But a big advantage for the Haas. Scottish currently in 8th place. Does have DRS to get something done. But we'll need to pass a lot of cars. Now outside of the window as well. Arkid back in it. So as I said before, Yuri gains a lot in Sector 1. But in Sector 2 and 3, he loses it. So the soft working very well in the first sector. But Arkid putting his skills to proof. And getting within that second. DRS should be enabled now, which means that they'll be able to open it on this lap. But Arkid will have to get close enough to do something. So we're going to look at this very closely in the few laps to come. Paddy now looking for a slipstream on Tronzik. Tronzik hanging on in that Williams onto that podium position. Already 2.5 seconds behind the two leading cars. So a very disappointing restart there. Maybe having to look a lot more on the defensive side compared to the offensive side. Here we see it again. Yuri pulling a gap in that first sector, but it's just over a second. So Arkid will not get anything right now. But the second and third sector, Arkid might be running a bit lower wing setup. He gains so much time compared to the Haas. Paddy now, the same thing. Remix as well. Gaining on the cars ahead, looking to do some damage. As Scottish gets into 8th position, overtaking mini turns. Scottish is on the medium tires, as you can see right here. He is on the mediums. So that's a bit more grip compared to the hards. A bit less grip compared to the softs. Big train here. All for position as well. Remember, Scottish does have that 3-second time penalty. Jan a 5-second. Dutchkey also 3 seconds time penalty. Scottish getting attacked here from mini turns, who looks to do something into this turn, but doesn't have the speed yet. No aero wash. Very good grip there as the Williams goes side by side on the straight here. We see two side by sides here. The Williams of Mini-Turns of Scottish, and then Dutchke going around as well. Maybe getting an overtake. Also getting past Scottish. Scottish is dropping back, and there's Jan on the inside as well, who just puts it past almost. Now side by side onto the start finish rate. Does have the DRS and the slipstream on Dutchke, but will be blocked on the inside. Might look to do some real damage here. Sending it doesn't do anything brave enough. Jan gets a 3-second time penalty of multiple warnings as Abrashid takes 11th position. As I'm unable to go to his camera, and he does get the position there. Way further up, we see Paddy did get the position of Tronzik. Was way too involved in this 5-way battle down for P8. I forgot to check anything up front. Yuri now pulling away from Arkit as well. Paddy getting 3rd place. Tronzik dropping down to 4th. Remix currently in 6th place, joining this battle as well. Looking to overtake big turns here on the next straight. Paddy now has 2.5 seconds to make up for if he wants to get into the top 2. But currently a podium position. A very, very good job already. If you look at the positions gained, he is 6 positions up. Remix currently 7th position up in P6. Does have the softer compound, so might be able to look at something. DRS zone just ended there for Tronzik, but the second one starting right now. Paddy does not have any advantage here. Tronzik, remember, has a rocket ship on the straight, and there he goes. A really easy overtake before the final turn even happens. But remember that there's a third DRS zone here on the straight where Paddy can do some damage again back to what Tronzik just took from him. Paddy looking to make an overtake happen. Remix dropping back a bit too far. Paddy on the inside for turn 1. Doesn't get alongside enough. And Tronzik parks it on the apex after the second turn. Still keeping that position. P3 for Tronzik. Scottish, another 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. As there's a huge battle going on down here. 6 seconds of time penalty now as Dutchke gains 8th position. Now needs to pull away because he also has a 3-second time penalty. Which will not be against Scottish, but it will be done against Mini-Turns in 10th place. As Mini-Turns drops back after getting a very bad entry there. Might have locked up a bit, and dropping all the way back. It's going to be good for the cars ahead, but bad for him. Jan also has an 8-second time penalty, which will put him way further down. Shermanator 5 seconds as well, so lots of penalties on the second half of the grid so far. Sparrow, as I said that, picks up a 3-second time penalty with back as well from multiple warnings. That is track limits, and it's debated. It's rumored that the track limits are going to be even tighter in the next season. So there will be 4 track limits warnings in the real F1 before you get a penalty, which is the same as now, but instead of a 5-second time penalty, you will be receiving a 10-second time penalty. So if that transfers over to what we are doing in the leagues as well, it might be devastating for some of these drivers. Paddy opening up the DRS, but remember that rocket ship of Tronzik, putting it to good use on the defense. Still fast enough to keep something behind. Abrashid now in 10th place, looking to send it up the inside. Defending from Jan, actually. That's not defending, that is attacking on the inside of Scottish, getting 9th position. Getting the black cars all mixed up because I do kind of miss this AlphaTauri livery ever so slightly. But I'm glad that we get a little bit more color on the track as well for the next season. Abrashid up into 9th place. Had the position virtually because of the penalties, but has it on track now as well. Paddy still within half a second, keeping it there. Yuri has more than a 2-second gap, so Arkit does not have any chance of catching him so far. But we'll have to wait for the softs to drop off. Remember, it's only been about 5 or 6 laps since Yuri really started pushing on these tires. Probably 4 or 5 would be closer. So these softs might just brush off a bit quicker now after these laps. And then remember, there's like still 6 laps to go after Yuri crosses the line here. So he's got 6 laps more to push and defend or get a gap. And we can see it already dropping below 2 seconds ever so slightly. So that means that Arkit is gaining in Sector 2 and 3 already. And once he starts gaining in Sector 1, it will be over for Yuri. Paddy now with the DRS, trying to make something happen on the inside of Tronzik. does get on the inside, but Tronzik still past. Brakes very late on the outside there. Keeps it side by side through turn 2. And Paddy looks to do something still, but has to stick behind as Tronzik puts up an amazing defense, breaking very deep into turn 1. As Scottish gets back past Abrasheed. Holy, my words. All the action got my tongue twisted up. Into 9th position. As Remix now tries to profit from the battle ahead. All of these drivers so close together. A real train, as it were, within 3/10, within 4/10 of each other. Very close there. There's a yellow flag, as that looks like mini turns. His front wing all the way smacked off. And there's debris on the track, but he is able to continue. So no safety car as of now. Just a caution in sector 1, and it's all green once again. Everyone's able to drive. So only one safety car up to this point for now. 5 laps remaining after Yuri crosses the line. And now this train, Remix, side by side with big turns. Does have the DRS, but big turns will as well. Although the slipstream effect will be a little bit better. As you can see, Paddy now on the outside of Tronzik. Might look to get a bit more of an advantage, putting Tronzik on the dirty line while taking the optimal line himself, getting a good exit. And with that DRS and the slipstream, should have too much of an advantage for Tronzik to even try and defend. Tronzik will be on the inside. Paddy on the outside is passed easily before turn 1. Tronzik looking on the inside, doesn't get anything done. Big turns also still in 5th position, hanging on by a thread. And now we see Abrasheed and Scottish fighting again. Abrasheed on the inside, so the Red Bull getting P9 back as Jan DNFs in the pits. Retiring from this session. Here we see Mini Turns doing the move into the pits, trying to get his wing fixed as well. As Remix now within a few tenths, looking a bit there. Shermanator getting a 5-second time penalty for ignoring yellow flags. Currently has a 10-second time penalty going in against him at the end of the race. Tronzik now right behind Paddy again. Remember, these are the straights that are coming up. And that Williams is a rocket ship. As Yuri gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. This can be crazy towards the end of the race. Sector 2 and 3 are currently happening. Arkid catching. So these softs are slippery. They are falling away ever so slightly. Big turns now might have something to do on this straight as Tronzik looks to make a move happen. Too wide into the final turn. Tronzik on the inside will get the position for now. Paddy still hanging on. Needs the space on the outside. Does get the space on the outside. Remember, one driver here does not get DRS. Who will it be? It will be Tronzik as big turns swoops past into 4th place. Tronzik down to 5th. Big turns also looking at Paddy, but doesn't get anything going on here. Paddy still hanging on to 3rd. Big turns up to 4th place. Tronzik dropping down to 5th. Now has the Remix to be worried about as he's in 6th place within 2/10. Getting really close to do some real damage to this Williams driver, to our championship leader, who's leading by over 20 points currently up front. And Yuri will thank these drivers behind a lot, most likely, for doing some damage to his points so far. Maybe Remix can happen, and maybe he can make an overtake, get Tronzik down to 6th place. But Tronzik will look ahead rather than behind. If you look at the tires as well, Remix is on the mediums, has an advantage, so he might be able to do something here on the back. But Tronzik will have the DRS this time around. The Paddy won't. Big turns really close as well. Tronzik looking at it as well. There are a few more drivers getting up some 3-second time penalties, one of which is Abrasheed, so he won't be able to get the position from Touchkey anymore on penalties. This big turn swoops past, gets 3rd position now, capitalizing on the battle that Paddy and Tronzik had the entire time, but won't have DRS for the straight here. Already on the inside, Paddy looking to make something happen, is already past Tronzik. Maybe looking to make it a double. But big turns on the inside, defending, still fighting against Paddy. But Paddy being ahead, Tronzik now swooping on the inside. Might have a good thing as Arkid DNFs. Right here, right in front of us. He is off the track there into the wall. And that is a 2nd DNF in a row from Arkid. Yuri now completely safe from the car behind. has a 3-second time penalty. Just as I thought that the softs might be slipping away. And it's Yuri that went into the wall. It is Arkid that DNFs for the 2nd race in a row. Not picking up any points whatsoever. And giving Yuri that free win. Could have been his. But a very unlucky moment sent him into the wall. Might have been a lookup, might have been a spin. Unsure what happened as we didn't catch it on camera. But nevertheless, an unfortunate incident. As all the drivers for P3 were battling so hard. Arkid only had to stick within 3 seconds to get the win done. Big turns. Now attacking Paddy again onto the final turn. Compromises his line. Paddy looking offensive. Spongy dropping down a few positions into 8th place. As Paddy goes back up into 2nd place. Big turns, needing to defend. Does not have that DRS. And there's Tronzik on the inside of the Mercedes. Now has the outside line. Paddy still ahead. Tronzik being pushed a little bit wide. Now has to defend again from the Red Bull, who's looking to make something happen again. But Tronzik up into 3rd place. Big turns down to 4th. Remix still hanging on at the end. Doesn't make anything happen as we're approaching the final lap of the race. Yuri 9.5 seconds up in front of Paddy. But these drivers, anything can happen still. 2 out of 4 will be making it onto the podium. Paddy, Tronzik, big turns on Remix. Only 2 of these drivers can make it. It's currently looked to be Paddy and Tronzik. But Remix still has those mediums. Maybe they've fallen off already. But that would mean that Yuri would be dropping back as well. With the pace that he's been having, might not just show it. Remix now very close to the cars ahead. But he has been for the past few laps. But not able to make anything happen. No speed. No straight line. But one of those cars that does have straight line is Tronzik. Tronzik's Williams. Very fast. Small mistake. Paddy is loose. Big turns on the attack now. Should have a look around the outside. Tronzik going defensive, but also offensive onto the final turn. Attacking Paddy. Paddy still on the outside. Needs the space. Does get the space once again. Get the better line. But which one of these drivers will miss the DRS now? It is Paddy. Tronzik now cleanly passed. But big turns. Looking to make an attack happen as well. On to 3rd place. Looking on the inside. Doesn't get it enough. Needs to attack Paddy first. Paddy on the outside. Holds on. Inside into turn 2. But big turns. Makes a big move around the outside there. Gets P3, but still needs to defend from Paddy. Does get the position in the end. Tronzik 2nd place. Paddy 4th. Tronzik 2nd place. Paddy 4th. Yes, indeed. Big turns up to 3rd. Paddy still hanging on closely. Remix 5th place. Looking to get something as well. Has been sticking around on the back of this pack the entire time. Paddy now a little bit wide. Makes a mistake. Remix might be capitalizing on this. But he doesn't have enough pace for this. Tronzik is gone. 7/10 to big turns in 3rd place. Looking to make something. But I don't think it's going to happen. Tronzik won't have the DRS, but we're on the final lap of the race. There's only one thing that can happen. Usually these overtakes in the start-finish straight happen at the back of the straight, not at the beginning. So it has to happen in the final sector now. Paddy needs to defend from his teammate as well as we're going into the final sector of the track of the final lap. I'll be looking at Yuri in just a moment here, but this is way too tight. Way too tense to look away. Paddy now defending. Remix in 5th place. Big turns, the one to make something happen. Has the DRS, will look to something on the inside. Almost contact there. As Remix won't make anything happen. As Yuri crosses the line in 1st place. Tronzik looking to hold on to 3rd. Has the DRS flap closed. Does indeed get 2nd place. Big turns in 3rd. Paddy and Remix 4th and 5th respectively. Touch key going past right in front of Abrashid. And there's some trouble happening behind. Scottish drops all the way down to 9th because of this. Spongy getting some position there on penalties all the way up to the P6. That's the closest battle we've seen in a while. Maria's going through now, getting 10th position. Miu as well in 11th. Shermanator dropping down and down and down and down because all these penalties. But Yuri taking the win in dominant fashion. On track, 5.2 seconds advantage. On track, 8.2 seconds advantage with 3-second time penalty. Makes it 5.2 seconds in the end. Great race from Yuri. Very dominant from start to finish. Taking first place after that restart and pulling away, making it a very, very, very nice win. Fantastic racing for the second place. Here we have Yuri in first, Tronzik in second, and big turns in third. A great debut here as well at Red Bull, reserving for some of our drivers. We've got 4 reserves in 3, I believe, actually, in this race. Arkid was not supposed to be racing, did end up racing, had a free win with that 3-second time penalty from Yuri, but in the end, DNF'd in Sector 1, ending up taking home 0 points. And Yuri grabbing the big bag. Here we have it. Yuri from 5th to 1st. A great race from the Haas driver. Tronzik in 2nd place. Also gaining some positions. Big turns. And Paddy also gaining quite a few. But biggest winner here, we have Marios from last to 10th. Remix all the way from 13th up into 5th. Spongy getting a few positions on the end as well, because Touchkey, Abersheet and Scottish all got a few time penalties, which puts Spongy all the way up into 6th place. And then we have Mihu in 11th, Divine Eye down to 12th, actually up 2 positions. Shermanator down 1 into 13th, Jaspar's 14th, Sparrow 15th, Miniturn 16th, Arkid DNFing on the final few laps down 17th, and Jan, Mookie and Robinho DNFing earlier on in the race, getting 18th, 19th and 20th. And that finishes up your Jeddah standings. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Congratulations to Yuri for making this a good victory. And that was it for this weekend. I will see you all again next week. My name is Olaf, aka Wops Racing. You can find me on wopsracing.com, and I will see you on the next one.